So good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Lovely to see you all here. And this week there's been an amazing Feldenkrais summit on. I don't know any of you, I've sent you some links about it, but it's been wonderful. It's called Move Better and Feel Better. We've had all these great trainers from all over the world talking about Feldenkrais. And so today I wanted to share with you, we're doing a lesson called Calming the Arms Through the Pelvis, looking at how do we, when we move our arms, how does that connect into the rest of the body? And we did a lesson a few weeks ago looking at an aspect of this, but this is another aspect of it as well. And I wanted to show you this little clip from a video that is from a summit, and it's by a guy called David Burson, who is originally trained with Moshe, so he's a world-class trainer, and he works with this woman who's had a frozen shoulder. And just, I won't show you all of it, but just it will just relate to what we're doing in the lesson, and what he does with her in the lesson is what really what an awareness through movement lesson is about, what we do in a private session as well. So see if I can share this with you. I might just turn that off. Share the screen. So can you see this video here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so there's David, and this is the woman whose name is Willa, I think, and she's had this shoulder here has been a frozen shoulder, and she's had years of therapy doing all sorts of things, and she's had lots of work, and she came along to an awareness through movement class, and then David used her as a model to demonstrate something with her. So I'll just start playing the video, and I might have to turn it up. Just tell me if you can hear it or not. Just put your hand up like that if you can't hear it, and I'll turn it up.
That she raises this arm easily, and if you look at the distance
can you
from
hear that?
here to here,
Yes.
Yeah.
just doing what's easy. Yeah, about there. That's right. And look at, can you see that this distance is different?
Mm.
So I just want to go back to that a little bit. So just if you just watch when she raises.
But I look forward to you. All right. And I think we'll let the lesson unfold. I think a lot of the interesting
This
things
is the lady
will
who
be
runs the
clear.
summit.
But I look forward to you interjecting your questions.
Great, let's do that.
You can see the difference that she.
So watch as she lifts this arm. What happens in the middle of her body, in her ribs?
Raises this arm easy.
So can you see how these ribs open? Oh, I'll go off the cursor. How they open up on this side as she does that, and she kind of creates like a C curve like that a little bit. Okay, and she gets longer on this side and shorter on the other side.
And if you look at the distance from here to here, okay?
Mm.
Just doing what's
now,
easy.
So to start with, see where her ribs are on that side. Like, I'll just go back a tiny bit. Oh, that didn't work. There. Bit now. Come from here again.
And if you look at the distance from here to here, okay?
Yep.
Just doing
Now,
what's easy.
see before she even raises her arm. Oh,
Where it says Dr. Feldenkrais.
sorry about this. There, maybe I shouldn't stop it.
Yeah, about there. That's right. And look at, can you see that this distance?
So I don't know whether you noticed that when she lifted up her arm, these ribs are kind of scrunched up to start with. And when she lifts her arm, that doesn't open on that side so much, you can see.
Different? All right.
Mm.
So it's her right arm.
So he's going to use the idea
Right out there.
of going into the pattern. So you'll see him, even though this right side is longer, the left side is longer, you'll see what he does.
I just want to see here. You think of this as she and I are going to have a conversation. And I want her to feel that distance here. And there's again a very simple idea that she has an intelligent brain. And feel that distance. And this distance from here to here, and how this was so short, that her feeling that difference already has perturbed her brain. Yeah.
So do you understand what that means? He said it's already, when she starts to notice differences, and that's what the beauty of the Feldenkrais is, that we start to notice differences, you know, that one side can do one thing and one another, and that switches on the lights before you even have to do anything. So that's why it's not so important how big the movement is or whether you get it right or whatever. It's just your awareness, really, that's a key.
In other words, the fact that I've made these things evident, I've made them obvious to her, that her brain is kind of thinking about it, not consciously, not where she's aware of it, but as I said earlier when we started, so much of what goes on in our brain we're not aware of. Most people would say at least 90% of what's going on we're not aware of. And so we're wanting to access
He's lengthening this side.
that 90%.
This is what she can do well. So he's even helping her do it better.
Now, the other thing to notice, or that I would bring to your attention, is that I'm only going to do things right now that she's already doing. It sounds funny. She's presented me with, I can't raise my right arm easily, right? That's, you could say that, you know, in simple English, that's what she's presented. I have some discomfort when I lift my right arm. So for most people would say, oh, now let's correct that, right? Let's fix that. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm not going to try to fix it. I'm going to support her in what she's already doing. And I'll explain.
Watch what he does with the neck. See?
Now, you feel that movement of your head to the right compared to that. You see how different, how your head goes easily here, light, simple, and to the left, whoop, we stop. You feel that?
You almost feel like he's doing it to you if you watch him.
In other words, contrary to what we just saw, you'd say, well, that's...
Anyway, if you want to go and have a look at these, you can see the rest of it. I just I want to have you doing something soon, but I just want to show you, give you a little taste of that. And so he does this lesson. What he does next is takes her right arm down more into the pattern that she's doing. So to say to her nervous system, I've got you, you don't have to hold on anymore, and to make her feel safe so that she can let go. So when you're doing the awareness through movement lessons, that sense of not pushing yourself, just going gently to feel safe. And I'll just stop this now. Come back to that. So just taking it easy, noticing what you're noticing, knowing that the important thing is the light will switch on when you observe differences, and if you go slowly and mindfully. So I promised you a very relaxing lesson today, so this is what you're getting.
I remembered that this morning, you said that.
No getting up, getting down, crawling around the floor today. But and this is a lesson that I absolutely love. Ruthie Alon one of the trainers in I was in the 7th segment, and she did this the first day, this lesson, and I just about cried. It was just so, I just thought, oh my God, somebody's got me and holding me and I can rest. So that was a really nice feeling. But also I learned a lot just about, so before we start this lesson, just come and, you can even do it when you're sitting, or you can stand up. I'm just going to stay sitting because you won't see me if I stand up. Just very gently, just lift up one arm just above your head and say your hand, just like I got her to do in that lesson. And just notice how you do that on one side of you. And just slowly. And the things to notice are how easy is the movement, how pleasurable is the movement, how much of you was involved, how is this arm connected to anything in your body, or anything else? Do you feel anything else moving as your arm moves? And then do this on the other side and just see what it's like on the other side. And so does anybody notice anything in particular? What, Trish?
Oh, it's hard for me with that shoulder. I can feel that restricted movement.
Kind of like what she has. You know,
Yeah.
you can see that you can't get it as close to your head as the other side either. Like, you know, if you lift your other arm up, if you look at Trish, lift up your other arm, Trish.
Same here.
Yeah, see how Trish can put her, I can't point him, but her ear and shoulder come close to and arm come close to each other on that side, and your ribs open on that side. Feel that, and then on the other side, just go slowly where it's easy to go. Yeah, so there's not that same movement happening, and not that same movement in the ribs. Yeah, okay.
Like to really work the ribs. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Notice anything like about your way of doing that movement? How's that for you, Claire? I can see a difference.
It's much easier much harder on the right.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting that both of you have got the same pattern that she has, you know, saying. So it'd be good to go and watch that lesson just to see.
Yes, good idea.
Yeah. So
I'm in.
Oh,
Me too.
Oh, welcome.
What is your right?
I can see your beautiful body. Oh, I can see you now. I just showed a little video of from the Feldenkrais Summit that's been on by a guy called David Burson. He's doing a lesson on a woman who had a frozen shoulder, and so she could lift one arm like this, the other arm she could lift it out to here, sort of thing. And I just showed the beginning of the lesson of how he worked with her in that lesson. And today we're doing a lesson. I can't hear you, Anne. You've got your speaker off.
I had logged in and had seen I was with you 5 minutes ago.
Oh, were you? Okay, so you saw it. Okay, so you've seen it.
Yes.
That's good. Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm just asking people what it feels like lifting your arm. Is it any different? Does anyone notice that one arm feels heavier than the other? So like it seems a bit harder to lift than the other arm. So Alan Questel, who was one of my trainers, talked one day about finding pleasure in what we do. He said what it is to make life easy, make you happy. So these movements help you find that ease and grace in your movement. Okay. Anything else? Did anyone feel any pain as they did that movement?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Claire.
Okay. Yeah.
I've got a bit of clicking in the shoulder.
Clicking in your shoulder, Deb.
Yeah. It's always a bit tight.
Okay. Yeah. So the things we do in this lesson hopefully will address some of these questions. We're not actually looking at this whole function of that, but the idea that the movement to do this movement comes from this middle part. So that's what we're looking at. How does the arm connect? When you lift your arm, how do you use your whole self? And the hands and the arms especially the hands have a huge sensory area in the brain. So doing anything where we're aware of the hands actually turns on lots of lights in the brain. Okay, come and lie on your backs. And just have your arms down beside you somewhere and just notice how you give your weight to the floor this morning.
Turn the other way.
and make yourself comfortable. If you need any support under your head or under your knees, just do that. Just, and let yourself just settle on the floor this morning. One of the things that most of the trainers talked about was how the Feldenkrais method helps. It calms the nervous system because we learn to feel safe in our body. We learn to feel what it's like to feel supported. And in the awareness through movement lessons, that happens. And of course, in the functional integration lessons, where hands-on work, that also happens. So just sense how you're giving your weight. Notice your heels. If your legs are long, if your feet are standing, feel your feet on the floor. Notice your calves, back of your knees, your thighs, the weight in your buttocks. Feel your waist area. Is it lifted off the floor or touching the floor? Notice your shoulders lying on the floor. And try and mute you participants. Right. So yeah, I've just muted you so that I heard some sound somewhere or other. Okay, learning about this computer. What is that? Okay. And in particular, notice how your arms are resting on the floor. So have you got your arms so the palms are facing up? Have you got your arms so the palms are facing down? Or maybe your arms are sideways. And notice, is there any difference between one arm and the other? And sense also how your shoulders reflect how your arms are on the floor. Does one shoulder lift a little bit more than the other on the floor? And do you have any awareness of your breath in that upper chest area? And do you have any awareness of your breath in your belly? Just notice where your breath is today. And notice, do your ribs move as you breathe? So this lesson is called Calming Your Arms Through the Pelvis. And in this lesson, you'll learn to calm down a lot of activity in your arms and hands by waking up your spine to support your arms. And of course, when we change things in our body, we're also changing things in our mind as well. So, and that's quite amazing. And another thing we're looking at is how are the arms connected to the back? When you move your arm, how is that connected through your skeleton? So for many people, we move our arms as a separate entity. And sitting at the computer, I think, encourages that, because our body's fixated, our ribs are fixed and our chest is fixed, and we're just moving our arms and forget that our whole body's involved in movements. So we're going to explore a variety of movements that maybe are a bit unexpected and unknown to you, to help make your mind more flexible, which is, of course, the main training, really. Can you place your arms about 45 degrees from your body? And lie your right palm flat on the floor. Well, not forcing it anyway, but just like in that direction. So your palm is lying more flat on the floor, or as flat on the floor as it feels comfortable at the moment. And then just let your palm come back to neutral, wherever the neutral was. It may have been neutral in that position. Just move it a few times, just your right palm, moving it, and then bring it back to that so the palm is flat on the floor, and noticing how easy is that movement to do? How much effort is involved in that movement? Is it a familiar way to move your palm? And is it just the hand that moves, or can you feel any movement in the forearm? Is there any connection to the elbow? Does anything happen in your upper arm? And you may even feel slight resonance in your shoulder. And then just rest that. And now do the same with your left hand. Remember we talked about one of the way the lights switch on in the brain is to notice differences. So this is what we're looking at, not judging yourself, saying, oh my God, what's happening to this hand? But just noticing how does this movement, how does it move on this side? Is it an easy, light movement? Is there effort involved? And how does that movement resonate through your whole arm and your shoulder? Does your forearm move? Does your elbow move? Does the top of your arm move? And how does that connect into your shoulder? Just noticing. And just resting. Bend up your left knee and place your left foot flat on the floor. And just tilt your knee a little bit to the right and back, tilting it to the right, towards the right side and back. And notice as you do that, how the left hip will lift a little bit off the floor and your right buttock will come a little bit closer to the floor. And as you bring the knee back to neutral, the weight will shift from the right buttock, more back to where the left buttock is. And how far through you can you feel that movement? So can you allow the movement to go further up your spine so that as you lift up the left side of your buttocks, the weight shifts onto the right side, your right ribs may come a little bit closer to the floor, you may feel something happening in your sternum, you may even feel a connection up into your shoulders, and then let the movement come back. So you're just noticing, how does that movement move through you? What sort of a wave movement happens through your body? And as the weight goes further and comes onto that right shoulder, the one constraint is just to keep your shoulders on the floor, not to lift up that left shoulder, but keeping them both on the floor. So the movement needs to happen through the middle of you. Could you imagine that you've got a stick between your left knee and your right your right thumb? And so as your knee starts to move, your thumb also moves out so that the arm rolls, so that the back of your hand comes towards the floor. So your knee goes over to the right, and it's connected like with a stick to the hand also, but wait until you feel that connection through your body, that the spine moves and your ribs move and the weight goes onto the shoulder and the arm just rolls out to the other side. And then as you come back, the palm comes back onto the floor again. So the palm starts with the hand palm on the floor, and you've got this stick between your knee and your thumb, and you take the knee across to the right, and that movement connects up through your spine, and the thumb moves out. And when you come back, unwind gently. So the palm comes back to the palm down on the floor again. And let yourself settle. Take a breath and then do the movement once again, just feeling. And how light can this movement be? Where can you soften to allow the movement rather than pushing any part? And as you do the movement, where are you moving from? It might be a funny question, but are you thinking of moving the knee? Are you thinking of pushing through the foot? And could you think of the middle of you moving, that you could actually initiate the movement from the ribs in the middle? So as you do this movement, the shoulder blades are actually fixed on the floor. They're not able to move. And so the ribs actually have the capacity to slide across over the top of those shoulder blades. And we looked at an aspect of that a few weeks ago in the lesson. But, so what we're doing in these movements, we're moving the arm, but moving it passively. So the action is happening through the center of you, rather than the hand doing all the work. Can you get a sense of that? That your arm is just going along for the ride. The movement's happening through your spine. One of the emphases in the Feldenkrais Summit was looking at the spiral pattern, which I often talk about, saying that the spiral pattern is the way to harness our power. And so in a sense, we're looking to find how do we differentiate all these different parts of our spine to find that spiral pattern. And if you're having any problem with these movements, just rest and maybe visualize. I can see Claire's doing that, so it's good. And just have a rest. Let your leg come long and feel how you're resting on the floor now. Notice, has anything changed in how you're resting? Notice your breathing. How is your arm resting on the floor? And how does your right arm compare to your left arm? Okay, bend up your left knee again. Have your right arm with the palm on the floor again. And let's do this movement of tilting your knee to the right again and opening your right arm to the ceiling. And can you place your left hand on your chest somewhere, on your sternum? Maybe just even underneath your breasts, just a little bit further down underneath your breast, so that you've got those lower ribs in your hand. So your arm is left arm's kind of reaching across your body. If you look where I am. See, I've got my hand under here, reaching across. So your hand is way over around the side of the ribs, not just on your sternum at the moment. Yeah. Okay, so just leave your hand there, and I just want you to press down your hand on those ribs and feel what it's like if you try and move your hand back more towards the middle. I was thinking of something else, so that you're actually stopping the ribs moving, and do that movement of pushing through the right foot again, pressing through the right foot, lifting up the left side of your pelvis, and stop those ribs from moving. Don't let them, whatever you do, don't let those ribs move. And feel what happens when you do that. What happens to that connection from your pelvis to your arm. And then can you use that hand to encourage those ribs, just like to sort of say, so you can put your hand on your sternum and encourage the sternum to move a little bit, yeah, but keeping your shoulders on the floor because we want this. You can roll, that is a movement you can do, but if you do that, you're not going to differentiate the ribs from the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades stay on the floor, and it's a very subtle movement of you're pushing through the foot and the sternum slides across, but the ribs stay down. So maybe if you keep your elbow closer to the floor, that left elbow closer to the floor, so you're not tempted to lift up that left shoulder. Yeah, feeling that movement. And maybe just touch different parts of your breastbone to feel what that's like when you move You put your hand near the top of your breastbone and middle of your breastbone, the bottom of your breastbone, and just feeling. So you're having this little conversation with yourself. You're connecting with different parts of you. And see if you can feel that connection between moving your sternum and the arm rotating outwards. And the arm moving out. So you're just learning what your chest does in this movement. And then once again, inhibit the movement with your left hand, or just maybe have a rest. I see some of you want to have a rest, so let's have a rest. Seeing how you're resting on the floor now, sensing your breathing, noticing the space inside of you. So we're creating a lot of, in these lessons, internal spaciousness, giving ourselves room to move, room to breathe, room to think, room to be. Lift up the left, I bend up the left knee again. And just experiment with different places for your foot and see what it's like to take the foot away, how that connection goes through you. What is it like if you take the knee out to the side a bit? If you take the knee in closer. And find where is the the best place to put the foot. I'm reminded of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, where she has the one lot of porridge is too hot, one's too cold, and the other's just right. So where's the just right place to have your to push through your foot? So you feel that connection through you. How do you use the ground forces? And then once you've found that part, can you initiate the movement from the middle of you? We don't often think of the middle of us as moving. One of the another little gems that they were talking about in the summit was that our structure affects our function, and our function affects our structure. So the things that we do affect our body, and the way our body is affects how we move. So when I see people privately, I ask them what they do. Do they sit a lot? Do they play sport? Do they do whatever? So and from that functioning, I can often tell what's going on in their body. Or that's a point of exploration. Start from there. Okay, now just stay there with the knee upright, and this time, as you begin that little movement of taking your knee over to the right, can you let your arm, as well as opening out to the right, to the back of your palm faces the ceiling, as well as doing that, could you let the arm slide up towards your ear? So you're sliding the leg across to the right, and your arm, your shoulder blade slides up towards your ear as the arm's rotating out. And feel what happens to the ribs on that right side when you do that. And what happens to the ribs on the left side. And just allow your head to do, well, actually, put your hand behind your head. We might do this. Put your left hand behind your head if you can reach, if that's comfortable for you. And imagine that you've got wheels underneath your head there and your hand. And you're just going to, as you do this movement, you're taking your knee across to the right, your hand is rolling out, your right arm is, your shoulder's sliding up along the wall, up towards your ear, and you're going to slide your head across to the left. So you take your knee over to the right, Your head slides towards the left, and that'll help your shoulder to move up, feeling that connection. And then coming back to the middle. And doing it again. So you're pushing through the foot and you're feeling how you're getting, actually the ribs are opening out on the right side, shoulder sliding up, and the head is moving. So I don't know whether you remember, just have a rest. In the video before, David was moving her neck side to side, and she could move. Actually, she could move the opposite of what you're doing. Like you could move in this movement, your ribs were opening on the right and your head was rolling, was able to slide to the left. But she couldn't open up those ribs on the right. So she could slide the other way easily and not so easily that way. So this movement that I'm doing with you now is what he does in the end of the lesson. For a lot of the lesson, at least half the lesson, he takes her into her pattern, which is shortening on the right and lengthening on the left. And actually, maybe because of with Trish and with Claire, might have been better to do the other side for you two first, but anyway. So if you do this lesson again, maybe start on the other side for yourselves. Just and just sense how your arms are resting on the floor now. Do you notice any difference? Does one arm feel more relaxed on the floor? But maybe the arm's able to turn more easily a particular way, like with the palm facing down. Maybe that arm is a little bit flatter on the floor. So this is a movement, a lesson that I often do because of my right collarbone being broken and that non-union clavicle there. There's all sorts of tissue damage and stuff in there that if I do overstress myself, then like yesterday I was helping a friend oil a big wooden bookcase. It was a big wall cabinet thing, and I came home last night. I could feel that in my shoulder, so I got down on the floor and did parts of this lesson just to quiet down my nervous system. It was like going oh, like that. So this kind of a lesson, if you've got pain in the shoulder, there's a lot of agitation because there's lots of little nerves in there. So these sort of movements can just really calm your center. And I think too, like our shoulders are our shouldas. So we, that's when we're worried. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. The judge comes in there and we tighten all this area. So this sort of a lesson just helps to calm your nervous system and help you calm down so that you can come back to your center and move from your center again. So that idea of moving from the center is a key that I think of all the time with movement. If I've got any pain anywhere, I'm thinking, well, where have I lost my center and how can I find that again? Yeah, so if you're feeling any tension in your lower back, like Trisha's got her knees over her chest, so you can do that if you want, just to release any tension in that lower back. Yeah, Claire, it might be good for you to just do this on that other side. Would be easier for you to do first, I think. Does that feel easier for you? Just put your hand up if you. Yeah, not sure. Okay. This time bend up your right knee. And move your right knee across to the left this time. So your right knee goes across to the left, and feel as you do this how the right side of your pelvis lifts and the left side presses more into the floor. And just notice, to start with, is this easier than the other side, or was to start with? Is this a more familiar movement to you? like in the lesson that David does with Willa, he does this movement because this is how she moves. This is her pattern, she knows. And notice as you do that movement, what happens, how does that connect up into your torso? Can you feel what happens in your ribs? Notice, and the constraint is to keep your shoulders on the floor so that you, this shoulder blade, the ribs slide across your shoulder blades. Sensing that. And this time, have your palm, your right palm on the floor, facing down again. So your right palm, the same right palm, is on the floor. And this time, can you imagine you've got a string between your knee and your little finger? And that as you take the knee across to the left, that the little finger can lift up and that you're rolling over your thumb. So the back of your hand comes towards your body and your palm faces out. But only go as far as your shoulder stays on the floor. And if you think if you've got this string, your knee won't be moving so much because otherwise your arm will start lifting up. So just moving as much as you can feel that. And letting your arm come back. And can you have a sense of the arm? Actually, just rest. I'll just do something with the arm because I can see some of you are finding it not so easy to do that. Just bring your right arm out to the side with the palm facing down and just do that little movement of rotating your palm so that the little finger lifts and the palm comes towards the floor, and noticing just going as far as you go with just the forearm moving, not the elbow or the top of the arm. Just beginning, it won't be a very big movement, just a little movement of rotating the arm so that the forearm moves, your palm moves. And then adding, once you do that, the wrist moves, your palm moves, the wrist moves, your forearm moves, then let the upper arm come into the movement, but not your shoulder blade. And then come back again. And moving the arm in. And coming back again. Okay. Now bend up your right knee again. And go back to this little movement that we just did. So it's that idea, that's the arm moving in a like a twisting pattern, a spiraling pattern. So you're taking the knee across to the left and the arm is just, yeah, that's better. You can see that better. Okay. And just do that a couple of times. And again, sensing, maybe putting your other hand on your ribs again, on your sternum or your ribs, and just sensing how can you encourage these your ribs and your sternum to slide in the other direction, to slide across the left, and thinking of these ribs being able to slide underneath that shoulder blade. And then place your hands on those right ribs and don't let them move, and feel what happens if you don't let those ribs move. You stop them lifting up. Okay, and then let them move again. And thinking that as the ribs lift on that right side, the ribs on the left side press further into the floor. So that may be an image that'll help you as well. Thinking of how the left ribs, they open out a bit more and press more into the floor, allowing those right ribs to lift. That's made a difference to you, Anne, to think of that. Just I can see, yeah. Feeling. And can you place your hands actually on your breastbone itself rather than the ribs, and feeling, see if you can feel that breastbone actually moving, that the bottom of the breastbone moves a little bit more than the top of the breastbone and slides across. And the hand, you've got the string attached to the fingers, so the hand slides down. so that it slides down, the hand rotates. Okay, just rest from that. Feel how you're lying on the floor now. Notice how your right shoulder feels compared to your left, and your right arm, your left arm. Notice your breathing. Bend up your right leg again. So your right foot is on the floor. And this time as you do the, bring your left arm behind your head again, underneath your head. You can, and just do the little movement of just sliding your head a little bit towards the right this time. So sliding your head a little bit towards the right, as if your head's on wheels. So your head sliding a little bit to the right. And then next time you slide your head to the right, can you press through your right foot to lift up the right side of your pelvis? Let the string be attached to between the knee and the hand. So and as you do this, the arm will slide down towards, well, sort of towards your feet. Let's slide down, then you come back. And doing that movement again, so you're pressing through the foot. The pelvis is moving, the ribs move first, and the hand slides down as the head goes across to the right. So with Willa, when he was doing this movement, this was a movement she could do. Sliding down. And then rest. Let your legs go long, your arms go long. Sensing how you're lying on the floor. Noticing any differences between your right side and your left side, and noticing your breathing. So I could leave you like this and get you to come and walk, and after a while you would integrate the two sides, but because this is going to be a video that other people see and they may not be used to Feldenkrais, I'm going to do the other side as well. But one of the things we do in Feldenkrais is do the movements in the imagination, and a lot of people have caught on to this idea that Moshe had in the 1940s of like, you know, the inner game of tennis or the inner game of golf. Now they, you know, visualize things. So he did this way back when. Lift up, bend up your left knee now. Sorry, that's the one you had, wasn't it? Bend up your right knee, sorry, the right knee. Bend your right knee. And can you think the movement? Just imagine doing the movement of taking your knee across to the left. So you're imagining taking your knee across to the left so that the weight goes on more onto your left buttock. The right buttock lifts off the floor. And as you go, imagine the movement and go a little bit further, your ribs start to move. The ribs get heavier on the left side and they lift up on the right side. And if you imagine a stick between your right knee and have your left palm facing down on the floor, and imagine a stick between your knee, your right knee and your thumb. And as you take your knee across to the left, your arm starts to move, so that the wrist moves, the forearm moves, the upper arm moves. And then can you imagine where the movement starts from? You may think of the knee doing the movement to start with, or you may think of the foot initiating the movement. Can you imagine using your right arm to help the ribs to move as you do this movement, so that you're imagining the knee going across to the left and the ribs moving across to the right, to the left, sorry, and the sternum moving across to the left. And then imagine what it would be like to stop those ribs moving. So when you try to move the leg, there's not a connection through to the upper body. And then can you let go of that constraint and allow the movement to flow easily? And then can you imagine initiating the movement from the middle of those ribs? You're initiating the movement from the ribs. And now could you actually do the movement, moving your knee across to the left? So you actually physically can do the movement just once or twice just to see if you left anything out in your self-image. So you're moving the knee across to the left and feeling what that's like. And imagine the stick between your knee and the hand. Okay, that's lovely. And of course, it doesn't take as long on this side because we've done the movements already on the other side. The brain knows this movement. Okay, so we're going to add one more little part to this. Can you imagine now that your right hand is behind your head, and as you do this movement, you're sliding your right hand around to the right. You're sliding your head around to the right with a hand underneath it, and your left shoulder moves up in the direction of your ear. So and then you add the legs to that. So you start the movement with you imagining that your right knee is going across to the left. The weight goes onto the left buttock. The ribs start to lift on the right side, and the sternum moves across to the left. Your head starts sliding across to the right, and your arm slides up, and the palm opens out. And when you've imagined that a few times, let's actually do the movement. So you can actually do the little movement of taking the knee across to the left, feeling that piece of stick between your knee and your thumb, sliding, lifting up the right side of your pelvis, so the weight goes onto the left side of your pelvis. Your arm goes across, and I said the wrong hand behind your head, I think. I should have got you to put, just go back. We're just going to unwind that. It won't matter because it's another movement. Place your right hand behind your head. No wonder you look, I kind of caught the confusion in the room, in the Zoom room. And that was why. So this time, imagine taking your right arm, your head across to the right as you push through your right foot and open the arm out to the right. Yep, that's better. Yep. Okay, and just rest from that. Sense how you're lying on the floor. If you're feeling, especially those of you who've had some discomfort in your body, especially your shoulders and your neck, if you're feeling that, just maybe rest and imagine the movement. Don't actually do the next lot. So just listen to your body and what you need, and just sort of bend up your left knee now, and we're going to imagine this time taking your knee across to the right and imagining a piece of string between your left knee and so you have your hand facing down, the palms facing on the floor. So you've got this piece of string attached to your little finger this time. So as you take your knee across to the right, imagining that your arm could roll so that your back of your hand faces towards you and the palm faces out. So you're just imagining that movement first. Taking your knee across to the right, the weight goes onto the right buttock, the ribs on the right come closer to the floor, the sternum moves across to the right, and your arm rotates or twists so that the palm ends up facing away from you. And then imagine taking your right arm behind your head and sliding your head towards the left this time. So you're sliding your head towards the left as you do that movement. So the left knee goes towards to the right, and your ribs roll a little bit to the right, the ribs on the left lift up, your hands, as your head is rolling now towards the left, your palm slides down. Did I say to the left or right before? Left, yeah, to the left, okay. And your palm slides down. And then when you think you've got the movement, you can actually do it once or twice. So the knee starts to lift, pushing through the foot. The right side of your ribs presses more onto the floor. Your palm slides down. And feel what the movement's like on this side compared to the other side. So this is the movement that he eventually shows Woola how to do, but after a lot of preparation for that. So feeling as that left arm slides down, the ribs are opening on that right side and coming closer together on the left. And can you imagine that you could actually initiate the movement from the middle of you? Okay, let that go and just rest. Just have a complete rest. And sense how you're lying on the floor now, and noticing in particular how your arms and shoulders are resting on the floor. Noticing your breathing. Is there any bit more space up in these upper ribs for you to breathe? Well, I find these movements, as even thinking of moving the middle of me when I'm sitting here at the computer, I'll sometimes feel an ache in that middle of my back because I'm crouching over the over the computer. But just being able to just move this middle of the back does a lot to refresh and to remind that middle of you about how it spirals, and so that it starts to support you better. And also, one of the other aspects of the spiral, when our body can move in the spiral, it's like I think I've shown some of you at times. If you get a towel and squeeze it, and you can pull it, and it gets longer when it's got this twisting in it. And so our body, when we're reminded of the spiral pattern, it lengthens. And sort of, when we're sitting, one of the worst things for our back is sitting, worse than standing, worse than anything, just because we're in that static position all the time. So when you're ready, just roll to your side and come up to sitting and up to standing. And those of you who know how to get up in a spiral can do that. Maybe just stay in, I'll go and sit just so I can see you, but just come somewhere. I want to just see just how your arms are lifting when you come up to standing, just sensing how you're standing first and how your arms are hanging to start with. And then just do this little movement that Willa does in the lesson. So she lifts her one arm, her easier arm first, and feels. Can you sense any more connection through your skeleton? And could you think of lifting the arm? Just do that same arm again. Could you think of lifting the arm by starting the movement in the middle of you? Feeling how your ribs could move and how your pelvis turns. So if you're lifting your left arm, your right side of your pelvis will come forward. That's what we did in the lesson. And when you're lifting your right arm, the left side of your pelvis will come forward. And just notice the ease and the lightness of that movement now. Is it any different from when you started? And sense the state of mind that you're in now. Like, is that lightness in your shoulders and your arms able to transfer through into your life in some way? So just have a little walk around and sense how that feels. Noticing how your arms are hanging and how they move as you do that. And does that movement, organising your arms differently, influence the way you're walking. And then come and sit down again and we'll have a little chat about the lesson. So I'll unmute you. Do you know how to unmute yourself, or do you want me to unmute you?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, I'll unmute you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So how was that? For anyone?
Good.
Yeah. Just
Good.
easier lesson than last week.
Yeah.
different feeling.
It went quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was getting terribly confused.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused
You're confused.
with the head, which way the head was
Yes, me
go.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's
Sorry about my.
okay. So with Willa, I'll just take, like with her, when she lifted her left arm, she got long on that side and
Yep.
shorter on the other side. So what was happening, the ribs were going like this and her head was able to go like that.
Mm.
And what she couldn't do was lift this arm because this was shortened. And so the head couldn't move. She couldn't do that. So if you just put your hands on your breast here and just shift your weight from in between where the sternum is here, and just shift your weight from one side to the other. Or if you put your hands on your head, that might be an easier way. That's comfortable. And then if you lift up think of lifting up one elbow towards the ceiling and having the weight on that buttock, the other elbow towards the ceiling, the weight on that same buttock. Lifting one side.
Weight on the same buttock.
Yeah. So if you reached up with your left arm and leant a little bit, like you wanted to reach for something just a little bit out to your left, you do that. Does that look like it's my right side in the picture? Because
No,
it doesn't.
fine.
So if you do that, can you feel how your weight goes on that left buttock?
Yep.
And your arm reaches out like that. Now, if you were going to reach out to the right, the opposite would happen. Feel that? There. So now, if you place your right hand on your head and you reach up with your left arm, can you feel how your head's going like that because your sternum, the head is connected to the sternum. Can you feel that, Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the head's going to go that way. Now, if these ribs on the right side can't do that movement, your head's not going to move. Like if you stop those ribs moving, you're not going to be able to connect your head and your pelvis.
Yeah.
Head and your ribs sort of thing. Now, if you go the other way now and you reach out to the right, the opposite will happen. You'll get long on that right side, and this is what that Willa couldn't do. That happens, and the head's going to go. If you have the hand on your head, the head will go the opposite way. So this is what Moshe does with this, is creates a constraint. Stopping this moving up here so that something else has to move in the middle. And this is where we hold all our emotional stress, where we don't move ourselves. So we've lost that connection. I mean, this is something that took me ages to learn. I had that, some of you know, I had a car accident when I was 21, got a whiplash injury and hit by a truck. And so for years, I would hold myself like this. And I had no understanding that my neck could do anything but this. Just I didn't know this connection. And once I got this connection, it changed so much about the headache and neck pain and things I used to get. Does that make any sense, Claire?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that there's a lot of history for you in here. So just going really gently with that.
It makes sense to me in my head, but
yeah,
it's very confused when I'm doing it.
Yeah. So maybe I might need to just guide you through that more.
I need you in the room.
Yeah.
I could guide you through it. I could have movements for you to do
Yeah, it's something about when you would just come around and you'd either put your hands on me or you'd show me on someone else. That made the connection much easier for me than
Yes.
just hearing the words. And yeah.
So that's a thought.
Yeah.
So there could be a way of connecting with my energy.
Uh-huh.
So just open to that.
Okay.
So that you feel, like, let yourself feel that, because we get attached to one thought.
Yeah.
And like there can be another way of like watching David working this, if I tuned into him, like I could actually feel what he was doing, even though, and there's still a connection, and there can be even sometimes a deeper connection. Yeah, if you allow it. It's like one of the things David said, one of the quotes that he really likes of Moshe, says the only thing permanent about your behaviour patterns is the belief that it is so. So we have beliefs about things, and it just and this coronavirus is it's really challenging that with all of us. And there's another quote I wanted to read you by Viktor Frankl. He said, "In the depths of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. This is the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." So when all this was going on outside, I was trying to think of that. Just and I think Feldenkrais is such an amazing thing to do that. We can have choices. We can become aware. I move this way. Like I have a pattern of going like this. My head actually goes the other way. So I've got a really odd pattern. Whiplash, I think that's kind of. So I've got a kind of a double take of things, and I'm aware when I'm stressed, I'll go into that pattern. My body will go into that protective mechanism, which protected me from probably getting knocked silly in my head, at some stage. And so those patterns don't, they're fiercely protective of us and don't really want to change. But the Feldenkrais sets up circumstances and a sense of safety, so that change can happen, and this sort of and anyone else like to?
I certainly feel like I've had a big workout.
Yeah.
My shoulder blades too.
Do they? Yeah. So maybe you need to just go a little bit more gently down, just sort of a little bit. Yeah. Sort of like when there's been trauma in an area, that's when you need to do less. Yeah. So because I'm very flexible, like I am too, and I can move, but I actually need to just go little minute movements sometimes, and just sort of Otherwise, you'll override the trauma.
Yeah, the urge to fix is strong.
Oh, yes. I agree.
What would be good for you to do is just to do that, with the magic roller, just little, really soft little support things underneath various parts of you, and just lie like that and let yourself be supported in that for a while.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rhonda. That's
Thanks,
great.
Rhonda.
You need to go, or just sort of, you can, I'm happy to stay if you want. Sort of, How are you going? Just sort of.
I just wanted to tell Patricia, she was asking about the bookshop at the relaxation centre.
Can we do that later? Because at the end of I'll keep the recording going, just while we talk about and then we'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah. Anything else about the lesson? Because I think it helps other people when they're watching this to realise.
I'd like to thank Claire for articulating just how I was feeling. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Okay, Denise, you need to go.
Bye, Denise.
Yep.
It was lovely to see you again.
Bye, Denise.
As always.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Denise.
Go in the lesson.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
One time I had all this lactic acid down my spine,
Yeah.
like facets, right up here that I have just been carrying around.
Yeah.
And I could just feel, how something's tight and sore and you just have a beautiful movement.
Yeah.
Well, it was like that. I could sort of just the movement of the head sliding across I
Yeah.
never do that. I never do that. The shoulders down, ribs down. I just love that because it showed me right down sort of thoracic spine, upper thoracic really, how sore I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and how habituated to that I was. I've got one sort of frozen shoulder, which is thawing. It's in the thawing phase. Thawing. So I've got lots more movement. And I've also got a pulley out the back that I can lift my arm without any work. So I'm going to add things to that lifting. The head slide and, you know, the hip, you know, it's just given me such a lot.
Good, Anne. Yeah. That reminds me of, there was a talk about somebody who does gyrotonics, which is this way, I think it's a Pilates people, but they do it with movements of, like, instead of going up, down, they're doing these sort of circular movements, which really put the spine in it. There's someone in Brisbane who does it, so I'm going to have a look, check it out. I thought it would look amazing.
No, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah. What's it called, Rhonda?
Gyrotonics.
What's it called?
Gyrotonics or something like that.
Gyrotonics.
Yeah. Gyro. Open these. I had a picture of it. I took a picture of it.
Gyro, is it?
That's the one. No, that's not it. I had it. You know how you got these, on my computer, I've got little stacks. So I wanted to just make my screen, you know, I can't find it now. You put things away on the screen and they've disappeared now. But there was a picture of it, but you can look it up on the computer yourself and it's yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
How did you go, Danny? Just sort of.
Now that we're unmuted, I did well. Yet again, I found the lesson went like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't relying on roll to your side, and I think, I don't know, it just feels like 5 minutes. But it's been good. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're getting better. Did anyone notice a change in your emotional state after that lesson?
Oh, brighter.
I feel calm.
Yep. Yeah. Anyone else? How'd you go, Bev? Just sort of.
Good. I just feel less rushed or something. Calm.
Yeah. It slows your nervous system down.
Yeah.
And Trish?
I had a headache into my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I just slowly moved.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Okay. Trish, how are you going with them?
Yeah, good. I always feel after any Feldenkrais, I can do all the things I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
So it's energizing. Yeah.
Well, I'll just turn this recording off now and then we can have a little chat about the thing.